When we are doing reflection transformations, we are only going to be focusing on reflecting over the x-axis or reflecting over the y-axis. So what we really need to know are what the signs are for the x and y coordinates in each quadrant. So here in the first quadrant, both the x and the y are positive. If you move to the left to the second quadrant, the x here is negative, but the y stays positive. If we go down to the third quadrant, both the x and the y are going to be negative signs. And if we go right to the fourth quadrant, we have a positive x and a negative y. So everything on the top half of our graph will give us positive y's. Everything on the bottom half will give us negative y's. Everything up and down on the left side will give us negative x's. Everything up and down on the right side will give us positive x's. So that's important to know when we are reflecting over either the x-axis or the y-axis. Because if I would flip any points from the top over the x to the bottom, it's going to be changing the y. And if I would flip anything from the right side over the y-axis, it's going to change those x's. So here in our example, in our first table, we're going to reflect across the y-axis. So if you remember, if I reflect across that y-axis, it's going to be the x coordinates that are going to be changing. So they're either going to be going from positive to negative or negative to positive. So the way that you can remember which coordinate's going to be changing is the letter you see in the axis name is the one that you're going to be keeping. So since I see y-axis, I'm going to keep my y's. So that means I change all of these x's, and it's just flipping the sign. Okay? So here I start with my negative 9. So to flip that, it would become a positive 9. My positive 4 will change to a negative 4. My negative 2 to a positive 2. My positive 1 to a negative 1. And my negative 12 to a positive 12. And then since it was the y-axis, we said we were going to keep all of the y's. So I'm just going to recopy that y column over without changing anything. And we're done with our first table. So the second table says to reflect across the x-axis. So I see the x in the axis name, so that means I keep my x, and I'm going to be changing my y by flipping all of the signs in that y column. So the new x, we just recopy from what it was originally stated. Now when I go to the new y, I will have all those new coordinates. So my positive 2 will become negative 2. My negative 4 will become positive 4. Now 0 is always just 0. It's neither positive or negative. Positive 1 is negative 1, and negative 7 is 7.